I feel and believe that justice in speaking the truth of truths and to my own experience and perspective. Today, September 11th of 2024, 23 years. I was in New York. I'm from New York. Gather as much. I was in 5th grade, 10 years old, Miss Neely's class. At that age, for whatever convolution, they weren't allowed to tell any of us what was going on for the concern that any of our parents may have been either in the towers or in Midtown. Being the intuitive creature that I am, I knew something was awry. I knew something was wrong is in the atmosphere. I had some scabs on my hand, my arm from whatever I was doing. It was a rambunctious child, and I used that as an excuse to go to the nurse's office. Not much has changed, has it? A lot has changed. I've grown quite a bit. Anyway, I went to the nurse's office, call it eavesdropping. I was listening to whatever they were talking about. Even the faculty at the elementary school really didn't know what was going on. I then went back to classroom and I said to Miss Neely, God knows where she is in the world. She didn't get tenured, so who knows. I said to her, look, you're going to tell me what's going on. She brought me out of the class and said, look, I know your parents do not work in Midtown and aren't in the towers. Fact. So she told me that B word, something not a game. Something of another with the Twin Towers. Again, people had a lot of false information, still have a lot of false information. Here's what it is. I didn't say anything to any other children, anyone else, because it's the right thing to do. Not to upset anybody, especially with, at the time, false narrative. I recall taking the bus home that day. My mother met me at the top of our driveway. She had thrown out, from that point on, all newspapers, all magazines, everything displaying what had occurred on September 11th, 23 years ago, in order to guard me from this display of violence in the world. This government, the United States of America's government, has said different things from that point to point, and here's a point. Many innocent, who's innocent, right? So this is what we're getting at. Many people, hardworking people, with families, wives, husbands, children, nieces, nephews, uncles, aunts, grandparents, perished that day for reason and reasonings that are guided by international interest. Best way of saying it. You know, that administration at the time, just like every administration, lies to the teeth. The public is what it is. I've had the honor of being close with, sharing meals with members of the FDNY, years onward, even recent in New York and outside of New York, who were there on that day. I've known people who were in the towers, who got out, and people who were in that area who got covered in soot. Metallic soot. One story of a guy I knew, the doctor-in-law, whatever, works with whatever. It's not your typical law practice. Anyway, he was in Midtown and heard what? A loud noise. Started running, got covered in dust. He took off running. He's a bigger guy, so there's something in him that said move. He got to a point where he looked inside of the windows of restaurants in Manhattan where people were drinking beverages, enjoying whatever meal, each other, themselves, their egos, And he looked inside and realized they had no clue as of what had just happened. They were still celebrating their Wall Street money. It was far enough of a distance for them not to have had any awareness. Years later, where are we at? A loved one of mine, Brian, also elementary school, childhood buddy of mine, solid individual, always quiet and kind, very funny individual. Also passed on September 11th, not on that day, but years later. And everyone showed out and showed up for that wake and funeral. So here today, September 11th of 2024, 23 years have passed since the travesty that went on in Midtown Manhattan with the Twin Towers, Building 7, and all sorts of ensued agenda following internationally.
Matter of fact, pack the bags.
At this point,
Start the fucking whip up.
I say, God is great. God is great. God is great. The war within ourselves ought to be tended to and conquered. And that's that. The war within our, say it like that, within the United States of America, people are divided. People are divided within their own relatives, their own families. It tears people up, tears people apart over a red and blue. Whatever. Righteousness reigns, order above all. Actually, God above all. I have loved ones who are from the Middle East. I have loved ones from here. I have loved ones in Asia. I have loved ones in Australia. All throughout the world. And when we allow ourselves to come to a place within ourselves first, peace and truth, we are then equipped to move forward properly. There's still turmoil in the world. I do not negate this. I also shall not watch the Zombie Box TV. I haven't owned one in quite a few years. I refuse to observe one. Use your discernment, people. Look within yourselves and ask, is this right? Is this wrong? Is this truth? Is this fallacy? And that's that. Good people perish for what reason? God ordains all. Let's get that right. And whether we call God God, whether we call Allah higher power, highest power, Baruch Hashem, Hare Krishna, when we come to a place of love, we win. YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at 4am. God bless. I love you.
I hate it when they tell us how far we came to be, as if our people's history started with slavery. Painfully, I discovered the shit they kept a secret. This is the Exodus, like the black Jews out of Egypt. I keep it reality based with the music I make. Blow up the truth in your face with the style I run with, like the Navy missile that shot down Flight 800. I'm like the Africans who came here before Columbus, and from the 1500s until after tomorrow. I watch Latin America get raped in the sorrow. You see, the Spaniards never left después de Colón. And if you don't believe me, you can click on Univision. I never seen so much racism in all of my life. Every program and newscast, all of them white. It's like apartheid with 10% ruling the rest. That type of stress will make me put the fucking tool in your chest. Step in my way, nigga, I wouldn't wanna be ya. I burn slow like pissing drunk with gonorrhea. I'll do a free show in North Korea, burning the flag, while J. Edgar Hoover politicians dress up in drag, trying to confuse you, making it hard to follow this. Capitalism and democracy are not synonymous. You swallow propaganda like a birth control pill, selling your soul to the eye on the back of the dollar bill. But that'll never be me, cause I'm leaving the past.